Hello, lovely people, and welcome. I have just finished Inktober, and so I am a little bit tired of precise line work and black and white. So for today, I'm going to riff off of a painting I did from a tutorial a while back. And the tutorial was by a YouTuber by the name of Macuccino, and I'll link that in the description. And this middle panel of a nebula is what I'm going to work from. I'm going to do a bigger one, a full page one, and I think that'll be a nice rebound from Inktober. So I'm starting with a hot pressed watercolor paper, which is smoother because I don't want the texture of the paper to pick up. I want it to be much more smooth. And this is a nail polish dotting tool, and I'm going to use that to put artist masking fluid on the paper in dots across much of the paper to keep the stars. After that dries, I'm going to go and work wet into wet with highly saturated pigments. I have watercolors from a tube. I squeezed out a little bit and diluted them just a little bit with water. And then I'm going to take the big brush and pretty much soak the page and put a lot of water down and play with the colors. And I think that'll be a very nice antidote to the incredibly picky and precise line work that I've been doing for a month. So just have a great deal of fun with the color and enjoy it. So I learned something interesting about nebulas, which probably a lot of people know, but this was something I just hadn't thought about before. And that is that there are basically two different kinds. There are nebulas that are formed when a star goes supernova, and those are, relatively speaking, smaller. The Crab Nebula is a good example of that. And they have kind of a structure to them. If you look at, especially if you Google the Crab Nebula in particular, it's got a lot of kind of strings of bright glowing gas, so kind of like lines throughout it, and that's not what I wanted to do here. The other kind of nebula is much, much bigger, and those are kind of star cradles where stars are formed, and they are much more fuzzy, diffuse, and not very structured. They don't have the same kind of structure, and that's more what I wanted to do. And I thought what I would do was I would use use a technique that actually is frowned upon in watercolor, and that's sometimes called the cauliflower effect or something like that, where the colors bleed into each other and form these kind of diffuse mixing, kind of looking like cauliflower bunches, which when you're trying to lay a nice smooth sky or gradient or anything you really, really want to avoid. It's kind of the opposite of what you want. But for this, I thought it would be really cool, and so that my main goal here is to just put a lot of pigment down and then let the paints bleed into each other in this cauliflowering, and you can see it happening here, especially on the fast thing, and let them do what they want and just create these wonderful, beautiful interlacing of the colors. And just let it happen and have fun, and don't stress too much about what it's going to look like. Just enjoy the intensity of color and shape and interplay of them. So, kind of get back in touch with your inner 3-year-old. And then once that is done and let dry, I go through and take off all that masking fluid, which reveals the stars underneath. So go through the whole page and just with a finger you can kind of feel where the bumps are and rubbing on them lightly will take off the masking fluid. This leaves the stars showing through nice and bright, and I managed to get a variety of different sizes, which is nice, which gives you a little bit different brightnesses. And then after that, I decided to also go back in and using a white, I mean, it is watercolor, but it's a titanium white, and just using it undiluted at all, I went in and did a bunch more stars. And this gives a slightly different intensity of color, and so I think it does a good job of varying the starscape behind it. And then I just went in around the whole picture and put in stars in titanium white, zooming through here and doing all of them so that you can kind of get a feel for the vastness of space behind the nebula. So again, this isn't super complicated or super precise technique. It's just having fun with color and playing around. I really liked it, so I did a couple of these just for fun. Spent the afternoon playing around doing a bunch of different ones. I like this one a lot. I like the colors and the way this mixed. And a couple where the background is a little too light, but other than that, I like it. This one was just too pale. I needed to saturate the colors a lot more on this one. And then I like this one too. I again like the background a little darker, but the smaller nebula with more space behind it is kind of cool. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and thanks.